Today we're going to be talking about a bit of a crazier situation. Like when I first seen the news on this, I felt like I had to dig a bit deeper and do a bit more research because I just didn't want to take this information at face value. Like I'm sure I probably don't need to tell you guys this, but a lot of stuff on the internet you see can be misleading, untruthful, or just straight up false. And I felt like this was going to be one of those situations, but it seems like it's actually shaping up to be true. So today we're going to be talking about the sentencing of one of the GTA 6 hackers. So right quick, before we do get into it, I am going to give a quick rundown of who these people are in case you're just not up to date with the news or just don't know who these people are. A while back, it was a group of people that just leaked a ton of GTA 6 content. They were just your typical group of leakers. This happens pretty much all the time, honestly, where it's just a few people trying to get into the game files and just leak whatever they can. And in this case, it was pretty much the same as all the rest of them. It was just a ton of content. I'm obviously not gonna put any of it on the screen, but it was just a ton of developer footage of how a lot of the mechanics worked and everything. And obviously this isn't good for any company, so I guess they were pretty intent on finding these people because it did cost them a ton of money in damages. But yeah, it just seemed to be your pretty simple case of people just leaking early game dev footage like they've been doing for the longest. And it would have ended there, but the craziest part about this case is one of the leakers recently got sentenced, and their sentencing is absolutely outrageous. Like I say in pretty much all my other videos that has anything to do with legal stuff, I'm no legal expert, I'm no lawyer, so I wouldn't be too sure on how sentencing works for stuff like this, but like I said, he cost them a ton of money in damages, so I didn't think they'd let him off the hook too easy. I thought they'd give him maybe around maybe 6 years max or something, because it's a ton of money, but he really just leaked game footage. He didn't do anything outrageous, he didn't harm anyone, he just costed them a ton of money in damages. But nope, that couldn't be further from the truth. This guy got life in prison for these leaks, and there's a few other things that we'll go over as well. And this news pretty much came from this article, and it goes through it pretty well, so I'm going to go ahead and toss that up on the screen now. But it pretty much says, the 18-year-old Lapsus hacker who played a critical role in leaking the Grand Theft Auto 6 footage has been sentenced to life inside a hospital prison, according to a report from the BBC. A British judge ruled on Thursday that Arian Kurtaj, I probably pronounced that wrong, is a high risk to the public because he still wants to commit cybercrimes. In August, a London jury found that Kurtaj carried out cyber attacks against GTA 6 developer Rockstar Games and other companies, including Uber and Nvidia. However, since Kurtaj has autism and was deemed unfit to stand trial, the jury was asked to determine whether he committed the acts in question, not whether he did so with criminal intent. During Thursday's hearing, the court heard Kurtaj had been violent while in custody with dozens of reports of injury or property damage, the BBC reports. A mental health assessment also found that Kurtaj continues to express the intent to return to cybercrime as soon as possible. He's required to stay in the hospital prison for life unless doctors determine that he's no longer a danger. There's also another article that I guess kind of explains what happens after his first arrest, and it also explains a bit of what happened to one of the other people that were involved in this, and I'll toss that one up on screen as well. But it says Kurtaj leaked 90 videos of GTA 6 gameplay footage last September while out on bail for hacking Nvidia and British telecom provider BTEE. Although he stayed at a hotel under police protection during this time, Kurtaj still managed to carry out an attack on Rockstar Games by using the rooms included Amazon Fire Stick and a newly purchased smartphone, keyboard, and mouse, according to a separate BBC report. Kurtaj was arrested for the final time following the incident. Now, before I continue to the next part of this article, I just wanted to toss in that this guy is some sort of cyber hacking demon. He was literally on probation or under police surveillance, and managed to still hack Rockstar using an Amazon Fire Stick and a smartphone with a keyboard and mouse. I'm not too sure he deserves life in prison, but holy, I swear he's a cyber hacking demon, man. Genuinely, I swear, even my max level Netrunner and Cyberpunk would be no comp to this guy. But yeah, I just wanted to toss that in right quick. I'm going to continue reading, but another 17-year-old involved with lapses was handed an 18-month community sentence called a youth rehabilitation order and a ban from using virtual private networks. That's just a VPN. The official GTA 6 trailer dropped earlier this month, racking up hundreds of millions of views even after the trove of videos leaked by Kurtage and the trailer's premature release on X, formerly Twitter. While Kurtage's defense asked the judge to take the trailer's success into account during the sentencing, the BBC says the judge argued that real companies and people were hurt by lapsus. Rockstar Games said it spent $5 million recovering from the attack. Now, even with all of that information on the table, this still seems like an outrageous sentencing to me. Like I said before, I know that he caused them like a ton of money in damage, Rockstar claims even millions, but life in sentence is crazy. Like I said, I'm no legal expert or anything, nor do I want to be the one that like, oh, I'm bringing other cases to this table and stuff, because I honestly don't know too much about other cases and their reasoning behind it, but I don't really think it takes a legal expert to know that this sentencing isn't really that fair. There's people that have committed way worse crimes and have had pretty much zero remorse as well, and they'll get like a super low time in prison. There will be people that literally take out like a family of 4 because of like a DUI or something, and they have no remorse. They're literally like brain dead in court, and then they get like 7 or 8 years. Like, how does this even happen? You know, I'm not necessarily advocating for this guy to be off of the hook free or anything, because he has committed crimes. It's not just on Rockstar either, it's on a bunch of other companies as well. And not only has he showed no remorse, but he's shown that he wants to do it again, and he's a cyber hacking demon clearly, so he will do it again if given the chance. But there has to be like a better way to go about this. I also feel like a few things will like come out of this event, and one being, I feel like security for like a lot of things like this is just going to get way stronger. I feel like these companies are going to start figuring out that they need to start investing way more money into cybersecurity, because if someone wants to hack you and like maliciously attack you and take you down, they'll find a way to do it. So I feel like these companies are going to start learning that they really need to invest a lot more money into their cybersecurity. And not only that, but I also feel like this is going to either deter people from wanting to like do anything like this again because they've seen a heavy sentencing like this, or it could just go another way where people are going to be like, oh well, if there's a heavy sentencing, I just have to get much better at my job to where it'll pretty much be no way where I'm caught. I feel like this example will like deter most like low-level leakers, because they don't really have the skills to cover their tracks, and they probably won't necessarily think it's worth risking themselves like that to leak like what, 10-15 minutes of footage. I also wanted to bring up like the recent Insomnia leakers as well. They're probably shaking in their boots right now. After hearing this, they're probably like hunkered down somewhere in like Fort Knox. They're probably just sitting in there, oh no, they're gonna find out about us. They're gonna give us 3 life sentences in prison. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but right quick, if you didn't know, recently, I guess like a group of people targeted the Insomnia company, and they leaked a ton of footage of a bunch of upcoming games. It was literally like the biggest gaming leak in history. But yeah, like I said, I didn't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but getting back into the video, a lot of people are saying that like, oh, he is in like a prison hospital or whatever, so it's not actually like prison, which my argument to that is, I don't think it's much better. Anything with the name prison in it doesn't sound that great. And when I think of prison hospital as well, like I said, I don't know too much about these, but when I think of prison hospital, it almost sounds like a much lighter way to say like insane asylum. Now, I know it's probably not nearly as bad, obviously, but it doesn't sound that great either. I know a lot of these places that like deal with people with like mental conditions and stuff, they aren't that great. They're not very nice to the people, and they just don't treat them how they should be treated, especially in a place called a prison hospital. But of course, I don't want to sit here and be Miss Negative Nancy. You know, I do hope that this guy does get the help he needs, because, like I said, he's literally like a cyber hacking demon. If they can manage to turn him around, he can literally guaranteed get like a max level paying job in cybersecurity. Because if you know that much about tech and all the intricacies, you definitely know how to break it down and see where you're like vulnerable to like attack, so you can like definitely reverse engineer it in some sort of way to, I guess, make where they can defend it. But yeah, I hope that this guy does definitely get the help he needs. Kind of going back to what I said earlier, though, I kind of do feel like this whole thing was like to set a bit of an example because they can. They knew that the situation this guy was in wasn't looking too great, especially since he was pretty much promising that he'll do it again. So they just pretty much hit him with the max sentencing possible. Like I said, I think also to set an example and deter other people from doing this. Because if you are in the market of like cyber hacking and leaking stuff, if you see someone literally getting life in prison from leaking games, it definitely deter me. But yeah, that's pretty much it on this topic. An outrageous sentencing for a crime that I don't necessarily think was that deserving of it. And with that said, I'll catch you guys in the next one.